Good morning, brothers in SV, and good morning, men in the SV community. Well, you wonder why I'm saying men and brothers alone. I am sorry, ladies and sisters. This devotion is focused for and on men. So my apologies to the ladies and our sisters in the group. And I think this is important that some of us men need to hear this, simply because I picked a character around the Christmas story that often doesn't get spoken about, and often very little is written, but a lot is said about him in those little that is written about him. And I'm speaking about Joseph. Secondly, I need to also make this clear at the start of the devotion itself, that at the end of this devotion, when my friends get to see it outside of SV and possibly within SV also, they're going to accuse me of not having done all these things that I've talked about Joseph. So therefore, I completely understand that this devotion for me does not come from a position of my own spiritual holiness or superiority, but it comes from a repentant man who goofed up and is trying to live a life of holiness as it is entitled in the scriptures. So I do not have any air of superiority when I speak this, and I actually speak this from a position of being a repentant man. Let's look at this story of Joseph. Very little is written about this man, and possibly the largest chunk is written in Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 to 25. It talks about his tumultuous marriage to Mary. It starts off saying that he was engaged to Mary, and then he gets to know that Mary is pregnant. Please remember, Joseph did not have the advantage of science on his side. In today's age, a woman can get pregnant without having sex with another man, whether it is through artificial insemination or through IVF or what is commonly known as test tube babies. At that age, the only way a woman could get pregnant was if she had sex with another man, period. So this man had no science as his defense. And the Bible very beautifully says, Joseph getting to know that she was pregnant, being a just man, he quietly decides to call off the wedding. Please remember, he grew up in a culture, he was living in a culture where honor was of great importance. He had to save face, and the law gave him an opportunity to save face. He had to publicly accuse her of being an adulterous woman, and she would have been stoned to death. That was the law, and that would have actually saved Joseph a lot of honor of his own. Joseph would have been laid a clean chit. But now Joseph quietly wants to put that marriage away, which means Joseph was actually working towards protecting the dignity of Mary, whom he knew only as part of an engagement. I'm not sure that existed a culture where they dated each other, got to know each other, and then married. No, he was probably going to marry a pure stranger, or at least to the extent of having only known to her when she was to be engaged, when they were engaged. So he was actually just enough to protect her dignity and expose himself to more shame. Can we, as a first lesson, be men of justice? When we recruit women into our churches, into our companies, into our organizations, do we pay them equal wage as we would pay another man in the same role? Or do we pay a different wage because she's a woman? Or when our wife needs something which is subservient to our desires, would we be just enough to allow our wives to have that? Secondly, we find Joseph to be a trustworthy man. God trusted him enough to put him into a very difficult situation of having to marry a woman who was pregnant before marriage by other means than what normally women would have gotten pregnant. And he proved to be a trustworthy man. Trustworthy enough to submit himself to that shame of marrying a woman who was already pregnant. Can we be trustworthy men? Thirdly, Joseph was a very respectful man, because if you looked at the passage there, and then after the angel speaks to him, angel tells him what needs to be done. He gets up and takes Mary to be his wife, and he did not have sex with her till she was married, till she gave birth to Jesus. At least till then we know that she was a virgin. Why do I say he was a respectful man? He respected the fact that Mary needed to be a virgin till she gave birth to Jesus, because that's what was told to him in the dream. He quoting from Isaiah when the angel says a virgin will give birth to a child, so she had to be a virgin. Can we be men, be respectful enough of our wives, plan of God for our wives' lives, plan of God in our sisters' life, to give them that room to to do what the Lord has entitled them to do, even if it means putting ourselves to shame, even if it means putting ourselves to hidden positions, or even if it means putting ourselves to oblivion, like Joseph did in the case of Mary. And fourthly, he was a man of great self-control. And children and women who are listening to it, you could probably close your ears when I say this. We men love having physical relationship with our spouses. It's something that is a way we show our love. It's a way of our own gratification. Controlling that isn't easy. This man was married to a woman, and he controlled himself for the better part of a year after that. Can we be men of self-control, not just in the area of sex, but also in all our areas, in our desire for possession, in our desire for money, in our desire for power, in our desire for recognition? Can we be men of self-control? My dear brothers and sisters, and I'm sorry, it was a force of habit, we're not sisters. My dear brothers, these are the 4 lessons I have learned from the life of Joseph. And I think we have to look at it, that he was a man of justness, he was a man who could be trusted, he was a respectful man, and he was a man of self-control. May the Lord help us to be a man like Joseph. God bless you.